Hi friends, I've got a little project today that I wanted to share with you that I think might be fun. If you have something that maybe you've done on a little scrap piece of paper, sometimes I do these doodles on my scratch paper, where I test my watercolors while I'm working on a watercolor. Sometimes I'll do little faces or, trees or flowers or whatever. On the back of this one scrap, I had started testing some brushes and some various colors of green and was just messing around. And on the other side, was just messing around with some flower petals. And then I thought, well, let's add another flower petal. And before you know it, I had just a nice little vase. And of course, it was on the back of just scrap stuff. So I thought, let's cut it out. Just took a regular pair of scissors, cut it out, and just to have an interesting shape. And I thought, I'm going to put it in, I have a sketchbook that is really pretty, but I am not particularly in love with this paper. But again, it's a pretty book. But anyway, the paper is pretty, it's beautiful, but it's not my favorite one to paint on. But I think it's going to make an interesting collage. So I am going to apply this with a little bit of matte medium. I've got Golden, I like their products. And I thought, let's put some of my art papers underneath it and see, what that might look like. So I had some blue tissue-like paper saved. That looks really nice. I also have some interesting green fern art paper, and that would look interesting too. But, as I was going through my box of little paper scraps that I have saved, I thought, I really like this blue. It just supports it in a nice way. And it doesn't clash. It has a nice look. So I think I am going to just tear. So I don't want it too fussy. I just want some organic look to it. Nothing too fancy, nothing too whatever. So let's pull a little bit out and let's see what I can do with some of these edges. I want to it's funny, there's definitely a grain to paper because it will tear easily in one direction, but this direction, it's like I'm tearing bite-sized chunks. So that they really kind of go raggedy, where this side seemed to be, look at this, so much easier to tear. So there is definitely a grain to most papers. Kind of interesting, huh? So I'm just going to apply that down. I want to make sure it fits on the page. I think I have a little hangover here. Not that kind of hangover, just a paper hangover. So let's get that on. And I think it's okay if it's crunchy and crinkly. So, depending on what the matte medium will do to it, that might make it interesting. And I think that's going to be really pretty when I get all finished. Now, one thing I want to add before you go, putting any kind of wet stuff on a piece of paper that has watercolor on it, if you hit this with anything wet, it's going to smear. So what I did was I took I have some Kamar Varnish from my oil painting supplies. And this is safe to use. It's non-yellowing, and you can use it on oils, acrylic, and watercolor. It's acid-free, and so it's a spray-on varnish. So what I did, I just took this outside in the yard. You don't want to do this in your house or in your studio. You will fumigate yourself, asphyxiate yourself. Just don't do that. So I took this out in the yard, sprayed it down, and I did a couple of layers. And I didn't go really close. I held it up maybe a foot away so that I could just get a mist on it. But I did several layers so that this should be pretty well protected. And you can see there was like this tree picture on the back. Here's the trunk of the tree, branches. So I don't need that. So, so if this side runs, that's no big deal because it's not going to be part of this. So let's get this going on here. And I'm going to use an old acrylic brush that I use just for matte medium stuff because I don't want to get, excuse me, I don't want matte medium on a brush that I'm going to use for watercolors or anything good, actually. All right, let's see if I can turn this. This is really thin, so hopefully I won't stick it onto itself. I kind of went over the edge. All right, let's get that patted out. You kind of have to work quickly and carefully. I'm going to put the rest of this, since this tissue is so incredibly thin, I'm going to get this actually on my tougher paper on my surface. I don't want to get too gloopy. I think I almost got too much here. Let's see if we can just spread that out. And I'm going to brush this down because I don't want any loose ends popping up. So I can come on top of this. There's a little bit of stuff hanging over. And then I'm going to just bring this on top of the rest of this. You can see I've got, tissue paper wrinkles really easily. So, you'll have a little bit of texture. It's actually kind of pretty. And then while this is still nice and wet, I'm going to put that down like that. Actually, I might put some on the back because I really want this to stick. I don't want it falling off. And this is matte, so it won't, once this dries, it won't leave a shiny surface. There are mediums that have some gloss to them and also a little more body. I'm going to try this out and see if this has enough body to hold this down. I might have to resort to my gel medium, which is a little bit thicker. Yeah, this was a little bit too thin. So let me go to my gel. It's a little bit, well, it's actually a good bit heavier. A little bit heavier. It's a soft gel, so I'm just going to peel that up because I really want this to stick. And this gel is a gloss, which I think I want on this. I did another little collage and I used, it was not a gel medium. All right, so I'm going to carefully press this down. I want all my surfaces to really stick down all the way to the edge. I don't want a little piece flipping up and getting ripped off. And then I'm going to brush over the top because I do want this to have a little bit of gloss. And, if you're careful, you can actually kind of help seal those edges down too. So since you've put the that initial layer of varnish, you shouldn't have any problem with your watercolor running or getting smeared off. If you do, you might want to back up and start, give it a restart and get some varnish on there so you protect your little picture. But again, this was just a piece of scrap paper that, would have probably had more paint doodled on top of it. But I, happened to like it and I thought, let's put this in a little, let's do something with it rather than just having it be on my scribble page. I really liked it. All right, so then I'm just going to let that dry and, I can come back later and see if there's anything else that I want to do to the page, but I really think that that's just a lovely little page just in itself. It's a nice addition to this sketchbook, and it's a super quick and easy collage. Little painting that was just an afterthought, kind of just doodling actually, and some beautiful paper in a nice sketchbook that's that I don't particularly love for painting, but it's pretty. So I want to make this book as pretty as I can because I've got half of this book left. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the project and I hope you'll give it a try. I'm Roxanne Steed. I hope you enjoyed it, and might want to check out some other things on my YouTube channel and my website too. Keep those brushes wet and your creative juices flowing. Thanks. Bye-bye.